right. Hello, and welcome back to the Dancing Heart podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about self love, relationships, and healthy love. And I'm so excited for this week's guest. I have Mariana Moreno on the show. You might also know her as Free Spirited Latina on Instagram. She is a dating and relationship coach, and she helps you to find love within yourself and attract a healthy relationship or your healthy partner. Mariana has also been through her own journey where she 5 years ago didn't think that she would heal from a breakup, and now she is in a committed relationship since getting married next year to her soulmate. So welcome to the show, Mariana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So excited to chat with you.
Me too. I'm so excited, Mariana. So before we go into the juicy dating tips that you have to share with us, I know that 5 years ago you went through your biggest heartbreak, and that brought you on this self love journey to finding back to yourself, loving yourself, and to attracting your partner. And now you're also helping other women and men to do the same. So take me back to 2021. What really, where this whole journey started for you?
Yeah, so I feel like 2021 was one of the hardest years for me. It was very emotionally challenging. I was with a man for 5 years, and so this whole relationship, it was just very toxic, very emotionally abusive. It really drained the life out of me. And so for 5 years, I lost myself. And I think about this time in my life, and it was just very, I don't even recognize myself when I look at photos. I go back and not to dwell on it, but just to realize how much I've grown. I think that helps a lot. But yeah, we dated for 5 years and I finally stepped out of it. It took a lot of inner strength, and maybe we'll get into that later, but I thought after breaking up that I was dying. Heartbreak is like physically painful as well. It does feel like your life is ending and there's no end in sight, and love is, completely destroyed for you. There's no hope. And so I was in that very dark time in my life when I decided to step out, because that meant I also had a lot of healing to do from the 5 years that I was in this toxic relationship.
And I know it takes a lot to like be so brave and be so courageous to step out when you see that it's not really serving you, it's not going, it's not bringing any joy, it's just very toxic. And like, what was the moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to step out, I'm going to choose myself? Was there like a specific moment for you?
Yeah, people always ask me this question, and I tell them that it was such a random day because it wasn't anything out of the ordinary from our fights that we would have. And I remember I was laying in bed, it was like 2 a.m., and he was bombarding me with messages asking me to, I don't know, just send a photo to prove that I wasn't lying, that I was home. And so something in me, I swear, and I like to describe it as my inner voice yelled out at me and said, "This is enough. Like, this is it. This is not okay living like this." And I said, "Okay." Like in that moment, I said, "You're right. This is enough. I'm tired. I'm depleted. I can't do this anymore." And it wasn't like he did anything crazy that made me do this, because this was the type of behavior that I was used to. But I think my inner voice there saved me because she yelled out so loudly. And I think I heard her because I was just in bed in silence, right? Just with myself. And so that's how I was able to hear her, I like to say. And I said, "I'm done." I broke things off in that moment. And obviously, the whole aftermath is a whole different story, because when you leave a toxic relationship, it's not like a normal breakup. But in that moment, I committed to just putting myself first. And since that day, I have continued to fulfill that promise.
You have.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, yeah, amazing that you listened to that inner voice because it was getting so loud? And how did this journey look like choosing yourself? Like, what did that mean to you moving forward from that moment?
Well, number one, I mean, it was such a long journey. The healing journey has its ebbs and flows. You feel like you're not doing well, and then you are. So, the whole healing journey is very long and not pretty and painful, but also beautiful. And I think the number one thing was for me making sure that I didn't allow myself to go back, because those first couple of weeks and months are very crucial for a person to continue to choose themselves, because you will miss them. You will start to think about the good times and how much the good things that they did, right? And you forget about all the ugly stuff that actually brought you a lot of pain. So it's committing to your truth. Like, what caused me pain? I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to remember my why. Why did I step out of this? That was always in the back of my head, because there were moments where I would almost break down and say, okay, maybe we can work this out, because I missed him so much. It was this like ache in my chest. I would talk to him every single day, right? He was part of every day for 5 years. That's a long time. And what I like to describe to people, it's like a drug withdrawal, right? You can be addicted to a person. It's not just with substance abuses and alcohol and drugs, right? You can also be addicted to a person. And so when you completely cut that person out of your life, there is that pull, like, oh no, I need them. I need them. So if you only get past that hump, which can be the most difficult part, then it gets a little bit easier. But in that moment, I always tell people, remember your why. Why did you decide to leave? Why? And if you stick to your why, you're like, oh, that was awful. I don't want to go back there. No matter how much I miss them, if I have my why so clearly, I wrote mine down, I would look at it, and that is like your anchor to help you get through that, beginning phase of detaching yourself from that person.
Yeah, that's such a great tip to write it down and just to as a reminder for yourself, and you see it and like, okay, this is your why. And I'm sure you also had to dive deeper into your own like beliefs and your standards and your self-worth in order to raise up and be where you are today. And yeah, was there any specific tools apart from writing, your why down?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest tool, and I know a lot of people don't like to do this, but journaling, right? It's that it's the reason why I think journaling is so, so important. It's because it's you and you, right? It's just you focus, you forget about the outside noise, you forget about everything, and you are just pouring out your thoughts. And when you connect yourself in that way, that's how your inner voice gains strength, right? That's how you start to trust yourself again, to trust your intuition, to reconnect to you. Because when you are in a bad relationship, you disconnect from yourself because you allow their voice to be a lot louder than yours. And so journaling really is that sacred space of it's me with me, right? There's no audience, no performance, just pen and paper. I always tell people use pen and paper. It's way more powerful than just typing on your computer. Um, and so when you allow to like write yourself, like your thoughts, I don't want you to like, I tell people don't think too much about it. Just whatever comes up, write it all on paper, because that's what's meant to come out. Even if it doesn't make sense, it'll make sense later. And you allow yourself to trust your thoughts again and hear your own voice again.
I never heard anyone like saying this from your perspective. This is a tool to help you trust your inner voice and to strengthen the trust within yourself. And I love that. What is if you would go back to some journaling prompts that you use, like what is your like three top journaling prompts for someone that is going through this right now?
So actually, I am against journaling prompts. I
Okay.
Yeah, I people will ask me what are journaling prompts, and I could give some, but I think the most powerful times that I've journaled, it's there's nothing in mind for me. It's like what's going to come out. Just let your mind be free, because when we have a question that is asked of us, we feel like we have to stay within that line. Okay, what can I think from that question? How would it make sense to answer? And so you're kind of rigid still, as opposed to pen and paper, you're in pain, write whatever you're feeling out. doesn't have to make sense. There doesn't have to be a story. You just need to write. And that is so cathartic too, right? People think, oh, the journaling experience has to look pretty and I should be able to read this to somebody and it makes sense. Sometimes it won't make sense, and that's okay. But it is very therapeutic for you to just allow yourself to pour it out. It's like crying, right? Just letting out your thoughts. So that's why I never did any journaling prompts. I will sometimes use it with clients if I'm trying to get something out of them specifically, or they're trying to work through. But when it comes to just pain and feeling that heartache, I don't think journaling prompts are that helpful. Yeah.
It's a very important thing that you're saying there. It gets to sometimes it gets us stuck in this box of like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be, but just allow yourself to be free. Like just write whatever comes up for you. So I love that you are using your own journey. That's what we're all here to do, right? To using our own experience and what we went through in order to help others to have this journey to be easier for them. And I know you are helping now both men and women to step back or to find their self-love again and connect to themselves and to really choose themselves first in order to attract their partner. And I don't know, you in like over the past 5 years, you have grown also your social media, your visibility, into you have a I mean you have a huge following on your social media. You're just sharing your own from your own experience and people are relating to that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And how like what is the questions that keeps coming back to you? Like what do people want to know?
It's funny because there's so many people who are constantly at a crossroad on what to do within their relationships. And everybody's situation is obviously very different, but people seem to be so lost as to what to do. And so they're seeking answers elsewhere. Sometimes they ask me, what should I do? And I tell this to I will never tell a client what to do because that is not helping them strengthen their intuition, their inner voice. They know what to do. Every single person knows. They just need some guidance onto, like, I ask them questions that will help them get there, but not tell them, hey, you need to do this. I ask them, okay, well, what's important? What do you most value? Where do you see yourself at your happiest, right? And it's through those questions that it helps them. But the main thing people ask is just, okay, this person did this to me. Is it normal or is it not? I get those a lot. It's like, this guy did this. Could it be that he's toxic or not? So they're asking very specific things when they have the answer, right? Because there's a reason why they're coming to me with this specific behavior. They should ask themselves, how is that behavior making me feel inside? How is it making my body feel? How is it affecting my days, my energy? How is it shifting my life right now? Because you know, every relationship, okay, it's not easy, right? There will be problems here and there, but the moment you lose a sense of peace and alignment in your life where something feels off, that's not normal, right? Your partner should only add more value and inspiration and peace, right? All the good things. Of course, there's the little things like, I'm not going to say nobody's perfect. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the moment somebody's behavior, you keep questioning and questioning and it feels off, that's because something is off. I don't need to tell you that that's wrong. If it feels wrong to you, it's wrong, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And coming back to how does it make you feel? I think that is like a very huge important questions because we tend to forget that. We just sugarcoat everything and then we overlook all the red flags and we want to turn the red flags into the green flags, you know? It's all
Mhm.
in our mind and then we start to like outsource our own power and asking other people when you actually have the answers within yourself.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's such yeah, great that you mentioned that. And now that you are in a healthy relationship, now you have experienced a toxic relationship and also a healthy relationship. I mean, what is the biggest difference in the version that you are today that you were 5 years ago?
When it comes to me?
when it comes to you, like what changed within you?
I feel, I guess one word to describe it, I just feel in flow. Now I don't feel like there's this contradiction within me because when I was in a toxic relationship, I believed one thing and I knew I wanted something, but I was living the opposite of that. I wasn't living my truth. And to say it shortly, right? I was not living in my truth, which meant everything in my body was just not great, right? I look at photos and as I mentioned earlier, I didn't recognize myself. The light in my eyes just, there was no sparkle. My face was swollen. I just looked like I was drained because I wasn't living in my truth. And so now that I am, there's no contradiction within me. I feel in flow because I am living, in truth of what I want and everything feels aligned. And so I glow. I always say you can always tell when somebody is in a healthy relationship or not just based on their aura and their energy because it does make a difference. Someone can drain the life out of you very, very quickly. And so we have to be so careful of that. So yeah, I just, that's the difference. I was not in flow and then I was. And so I think that's been the biggest difference.
Being in flow and also feeling a sense of peace, what you said. And how did you, what did you like? What was different when you started to date this guy? Like what was the things that you were looking for? And you were sensing that, oh my God, this is something different.
So actually, this is such a, I won't get into it for this podcast because it's such a long story,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
my partner now, it didn't actually work out at first. I met him and I really liked him because we just really got along well. I liked the way he, just his thoughts I aligned with, like his values. We had things in common and I just could tell, oh, this is somebody that could be my partner. So I was really excited about it. But, you get into that talking stage and I noticed that there was no advancement. I said, well, what is this? Are we dating? Are we not? Like, what is this? The what are we question had to pop up. And I was scared to ask it because that meant I was vulnerable for, setting up myself for maybe a rejection. Maybe he said, I don't want anything. And that's what happened, actually. He was honest with me and said, I'm not ready for a relationship. So, in that moment, I think that moment, because he was the first guy I hung out with after my relationship, right? He was the first one I went on dates with. Like, so this was a very pivotal point in my life because I could have chosen being wanted and said, okay, maybe I'll continue and maybe he'll choose me. Maybe I'll try to prove myself and then he'll choose me and then he'll be ready for a relationship. Or I was like, I'm going to step away because I know that I want someone who wants a relationship, who wants to take me seriously. And so I told them, okay, we can't continue this anymore. I don't want to do casual. I have to choose me. And so we separated, right? We parted ways and we stayed friends, quote unquote, because we didn't really stay that connected. But I knew that I wanted to choose me first and I wanted somebody that would choose me fully because I was choosing me fully finally, right, after a long time. And so, we parted ways and he went off to do his thing and I went off to do mine. And I stopped dating completely after that. I said, I think I still need to heal because this was in 2022, right? So it wasn't that long after my breakup. And so I said, okay, I think this is life telling me you have to continue to focus on you. You're not ready yet. And so I did my own thing. And then a year and a half later, he popped back up, right? And that's a whole nother story. And he said that he was finally ready to be in a relationship. And he was like, oh, I was always in the back of his mind. Oh, I remember her. I remember her. And then when we actually started dating, there was a difference. I could tell. He was intentional. He was honest. He put effort. And I think one of the biggest things or green flags that I saw is he was completely honest. There was a situation, I won't be specific, but he could have lost me by sharing this, he thought. And he didn't have to tell me, right? I wouldn't have found out in any type of way. It wasn't really that important. But he shared this with me knowing that he could have lost me, but he wanted to be fully open and honest. And after that moment made him trust him way more. Honesty is so valuable to me because I didn't get that from my past relationship. So I was always doubting, is he telling the truth? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? I don't know, because I couldn't trust him anymore. And so trust starts with honesty. And when somebody is honest with you from the get-go, it allows your walls to kind of come down. And so him being intentional, honest, and safe were three things that I really valued in him. Yeah.
And that's such a big, like difference between the first relationship that you had and now. And I know that you also have a ring on your finger. You're getting married next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, from you just choosing yourself and decided to go back and heal and not chasing him, because I know this is a pattern for a lot of women because they want to be chosen. They want, and that's why they are seeking external validation. And what did you do to like, I'm sure that you also were thinking about him during this time that you were apart. And like, I don't know, like, did you reach out or did you just decided to stay in your
Yeah, I stayed in my own lane and put the focus back on me, because I don't think, people talk about how to attract the right partner, right? But the only way to attract the right partner is to focus on your own energy, not on when or how it will happen. So my daily focus wasn't when will I meet him again or when will I meet somebody else, is I switched it to how do I show up for myself today? Because doing that work is what let me recognize an unhealthy or toxic dynamic versus a healthy, emotionally intelligent one, right? The discernment came from the growth, not from a checklist. So it's less, okay, here's going to be my list of must haves, and more, am I embodying the kind of partner I want to have? And so the only way to attract really a healthy partner is by you embodying that yourself. Because if you embody it and you live it, when you come across somebody who doesn't embody that, red flags will pop up, right? You will be able to spot that instantly because it doesn't align with what you are already showing and living by. So I think that's what I did, right? I was like, I need to continue to work on myself, focus on me and my growth, and then everything else will align. There was no, oh, I'm running out of time or I need to find somebody. It was just, let me focus on me.
Yeah, that's such a great reminder for everyone. And I think that is, and we just need to hear that sometimes because our mind, our ego wants to, to be with someone. And I mean that that's what we're here for, to find our love and to live together with someone that we truly
Mhm.
wants to spend our lives with. And then, but first, we have to focus on ourselves and put the focus back. And I mean, like, how did that look like for you? I mean, like, did you focus on your purpose? Did you go to the gym? Like, how did you show up for yourself, like, in the
Mhm.
practical way?
So, a couple of ways. One, I really focused on time on, I had moved to a new city. So, just time with friends. I think female friendships are so incredibly important. So, focusing my time on exploring the city, finding new joys in different ways. Like, I love walking. So, I would go on walks every day, doing little routines and having sacred moments with just myself made me look forward to just waking up. And so focusing on just my growth in general, how can I be a better person? Because there was so many things I had to unlearn from my previous relationship. So, what happens a lot after people go through breakups, they focus on the villain, right? This person was very toxic. This person hurt me a lot. Them. But we have to look at the mirror, right? A toxic dynamic happens with two people. If one person rejects it, there's no toxic dynamic, right? And so I had to look at parts of myself. What did I allow? What did I contribute to that toxicity? And through that, reflecting back and really looking deep into myself, I was very focused on that at that time because there was no distraction with any men. It was just me. So I had the time to do it. And so, now that I'm in a relationship, I always tell women and men too, being single is also so special because it's the only time in your life where you just get to think about you, you know? And so, because when you're in a relationship, now you're a partnership and you have to keep them in mind, but you get to be so selfish when you are single. And there's something beautiful about that too. a time for you to focus on you and your needs and what you want without anybody else in mind, unless you have kids, but I mean, in like romantic relationships. So I think embracing every phase of your life. And so I really embraced that single life, and not in a way that I'm going out there on a bunch of dates, which some people do, and that's fine too, if that's what you want to do. But really, it's just about, for me, it was just living for me, just focusing on me, because I had been in a relationship for so long too, where I always had that person kind of here. And so finally I was like, oh, I get to just do whatever I want. And so that was really freeing too. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, of course. It's yeah, coming out from that and just putting the focus back in yourself. Yeah, that's the tips for everybody that's single that wants to are here to they want to be in a committed relationship. Focus
Mhm.
on you and what habits you want to see in the other person. Do that for yourself,
Exactly.
right? And I think we tend to forget that sometimes too, like, oh, this is what I want, this is how I want to feel. But how are you feeling? How are you showing up for you? How is
Hmm.
this pattern? How are
Hmm.
you doing? What are you doing with these habits? Are you eating healthy? Are you going to the gym? Are you going traveling, you know?
I always have this. I saw this video, I can't even remember. It was a long time that I saw it, but this girl was saying you have to treat yourself how you would want your partner to treat you, but in specific ways. Like, let's say, oh, I wish I had a partner who would wake me up and, make me my favorite coffee. You wake up yourself and do that ritual of like making your favorite coffee and enjoying the process of it. Or, oh, I wish my partner would buy me flowers. Okay, you go to the store and pick out your favorite bouquet and put it in a beautiful vase and put it in your room. Like, show all those things to yourself so that whenever the partner does come along, right, you'll be able to say, oh, like appreciate it more and also know how to ask for it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, dare to ask for it when
Hmm.
you have been in a relationship, when you haven't been seen, and when you maybe are afraid to express yourself because you don't know how the other person's going to react, it's going to bring you trouble. So, how was that for you? Like to, like expressing yourself freely?
Oh, that was, I think it took me a while, because when you're in a toxic relationship, you are scared, just as you were mentioning, to voice your needs out of fear that it's going to start a fight. And so you learn to kind of quiet your needs a little bit. And I'd be scared to bring up something that would bother me because I didn't want it to be a problem. But when you are with a healthy partner, they teach you, hey, it's okay. You can talk to me about it. It won't turn into a fight. Like, that's not normal, right? So that was a huge thing I had to unlearn. And it happens slowly over time. I always tell people, be patient with yourself, right? When you exit something, especially if it's been for many years that you've been operating under a certain way, it's okay. Be compassionate with yourself. And that's why it's so important, one, to be honest with your partner about what you went through so they understand maybe the wounds or, what you're carrying, not using it as an excuse, right? So it's not like I was lashing out at my partner saying, oh, it's because I was in a toxic relationship. That's me. No, that's different, right? It's saying, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have reacted that way. This is what I've been through. Next time, how can we avoid this? How can, and your partner should be like, how can I help you in that way? But there will be a lot of triggers when you get into a new relationship, and mainly they're internal because it's that story in your head. But again, if you're with a healthy partner, they will hold your hand through it and not make you feel bad or guilty about it, and just do it with love.
Yeah. See you and coming from a place of understanding and curiosity and hey, how can we
Curiosity,
bring
yes.
yeah, right? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a and I know that's huge also like talking from my own experience, like expressing your needs when you have not been able to, when you haven't been heard or when somebody hasn't seen you for who you are. I know that's a big challenge, but yeah, it's good to hear that giving yourself patience and it will be better over time. And when you are in a healthy relationship, it's not a big deal. It's everything has a solution for that. So when it comes to men, I know that you're working with a lot of men, and I know for girls or women out there, like, what do you see from a man's perspective? What are they kind of like struggling with, or in the way of how they can find their partner?
Yeah, what's funny is I have there's so many different things that men deal with. People think, oh, it's just all men deal with it this way. Like, I have a client who really was on the other side of being emotionally abused, right? And so you'd think, oh, a man would be strong, they wouldn't stand for that. No, because they also want to be accepted, also want to be loved, also are fearful of losing love. So if people only understood that men and women, yes, they're different in ways that they deal with conflict or communication styles, but underneath all of that, what I see is men also want to be loved. They want to be in a good relationship. They want to, develop self-love as well. And so it's not all that different, I've come to find out. But when you get to the nitty-gritty of things, for example, I have a client who he's more logical than his girlfriend who's more emotional. So he has to learn how to communicate with her in that way. But again, underneath all of that, both men and women and humans in general, all we want is love, to be accepted, to feel understood, to not feel judged. And so when we think about that, we battle less. It's like we all want the same thing. We all just want to be loved and accepted and not feel like we have to fight, or accomplish something to be worthy or to feel like we have to earn love. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not all that different.
Exactly. That's a good, yeah, just a good to see that too, because I think women also kind of, yeah, when we are haven't been in a great relationship, maybe we have our like hands out, like, oh, we want to defend ourselves, but
Yeah.
being more understanding that the other person maybe also just want to be loved and the
Hmm.
same way as you want to be loved. So,
Hmm.
and not being so, oh, men are like this and men are like that. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of us has that.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go move over to what is healthy love. We touched upon it when you say you feel more at flow, you feel more at peace with yourself. So what is your, like definition of healthy love?
Actually, I'm going to mention this. This comes straight from one of the best books I've read called The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. And the second I read his definition for what love is, I was like, yes, this makes sense. This aligns with exactly what I think. And his definition was the will to extend one's self for the purpose of nurturing one's own and another's spiritual growth. Right? So, in plain terms, is love is a choice and an action, right? It's not just a feeling. People think, oh, it's just I will feel all the love, but it takes an act of will. Like you have to actively choose to love somebody, and especially when that honeymoon phase ends, right? It's a commitment. Love is a commitment to foster long-term well-being and potential for both people, for yourself and for the other. And so it's just it means extending yourself, right? Moving past your own ego and boundaries and stepping outside of that comfort zone and giving real time and effort to support someone else's growth and your own as well. And so when both partners do that, it's such a beautiful thing, right? Because you're not just taking, you're giving too. And so again, I always say this, when people say, oh, love is effort, they view it as negative. No, of course it has to be effort. With anything that you care for, you put effort in it, right? Anything, you do whatever it takes to take care of it. So it doesn't just come easily, right? Especially when you go through life changes, when people have a newborn, right? Things get hard. So you have to actively choose to to be good for you and your partner. Yeah.
I love that quote. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that is this the book that helped you a lot through your healing journey as well? Is this the one that you would recommend people to read?
I have, what's funny? I read this book. a couple months ago. My partner actually recommended it. And because I always like to read books to help my clients more and more. And so I wish I would have had this book when I was going, even when if I would have been in my previous relationship, if somebody gave me this book, I wouldn't have lasted 5 years in it. I would have been like, whoa, okay, this is what I want to experience. This is not what I'm experiencing. So I didn't read it through my healing journey, but I recommend anybody, even if you're questioning your relationship, even anybody should read that book. It is so, so good. It's like one of my favorite books of all time now. So I would definitely recommend that one. But one that actually did help me a lot too is How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Rico. Rico, I think that's correct. But that actually, I have it here. Let me show you how much I have because
Wow.
it is so, so many great nuggets. And like, let me just open a random page and read something I
Yes,
highlighted because I always do that.
please.
Oh, let's see. Let me see what pops up. Let me read a shorter one because some are like, let's see. Okay. Yeah, so this one's a good one. Loving means holding each other's deficits with mindfulness, that is, without judgment or criticism. We hold them also with heart, loving one another just as we are, with limits to acknowledge and gifts to appreciate. This combination is true acceptance. And he talks a lot about acceptance because that is I think, one of the hardest things for humans to do, to fully accept somebody, because we always want to, you know, change our partner in some type of way with what we believe is best. But true love is just loving someone freely to show up as they are. We have no say in it. We can offer up advice, we can guide them in any sort of way, but it is not up to us. And so accepting their faults too, knowing that they're also flawed just like we are, it's a beautiful thing because then they feel free to be, right? They don't feel like somebody's constantly judging them and braiding them, and just allowing them to be free, and they know that that person will love them as they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Allowing each other to be who they are and accept them. Yeah, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny with our brains, like why do we always like tend to focus on the things that we don't like? And that
Hmm.
becomes just so much bigger. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But it's always
It,
a good reminder of that. You have to do it, right? Even with the small things. Like my partner will leave some stuff. I'm a neat freak and he's not. And I'm like, oh, he's leaving this again. I'm like, wait a minute. Come on. Like it's okay.
I know. And I see that with my daughter too. She's 8 and she does things that I don't like. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this is who she is. This is her personality. I need to accept that. I need to, even though, and learn to, live with that.
Hmm.
Or maybe, yeah, I can guide her and say, like, you know what? I would prefer to have it this way, but yeah. And also, she's a kid, but you can also apply to any relationship, I think, and just like seeing them for who they are and just let them be free
Hmm.
because there's so many boxes anyway in this society that we live. So yeah, just let them be free, like so they
Hmm.
can grow their wings and be more of who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Making each other better. So okay, and let's go into, I was just curious to know, we were talking about, the green flags as well. And now that you are in this healthy relationship and you're getting married, and how do you now just maintain, your identity and your standards?
Hmm. I think a big one is just I always make sure to make time for me, for my own passions, for my friends, because you need an identity outside your partner, right? Even though I love him to death and I enjoy doing so much with him, right? I could hang out with him all day and be with him 24/7, but I know that wouldn't be good for me. So it's good to share with your partner many things, right? But that me time is a non-negotiable, right? Like you time is non-negotiable for like your own growth because it's that time you slow down and you think about you, right? There, alone time is one of the most important things a person can do. Like, and actual intentional alone time. There's actually this book, I'm sure you've heard it, The Artist's Way. I started doing it, and you have to make a date with yourself, like an intentional one, where you say, okay, I'm going to take myself out for coffee, I'm going to journal, I'm going to have a special little treat. And so making time for your own things that have nothing to do with your partner allows you to keep that identity. And it could be also for moms, right? You're a mom, but you're also you, right? That's not your identity. It's part of who you are, but it's not all of you. And so always remembering that, I always tell, especially women, make time for female friendships. Add something that your partner can't bring to the table, right? There's something about that female connection that is so special. And also with your family, like there's so many beautiful connections and things that can feed your soul outside of your partner. And it's also healthier to do that, because then you don't put all that pressure on your partner, that your partner won't have to be all these things for you because you're getting them elsewhere as well. And so that identity, like forming your own identity outside of your relationship, is gives you so much power. You know, it's very powerful to do that for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I just keep having some time for you and choosing the things that brought you joy before you entered the relationship as well. That's also just gonna help you to stay true to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even though you love to be with your partner, always remember to be with also with your girlfriends and to make time for that. Yeah. Dress up for you, go out on your date. Oh, I love
Mm.
that. So, okay, and let's just have some advice for the audience. Like, what is a pattern that you see like is most common with the clients that you work with? And what is the like the advice that you would like give to this person with this pattern?
I think so. A big pattern that I see is comparison, measuring your relationship against someone else's, because you see, especially now in the age of social media, you see everybody share their own story. You see what that boyfriend's doing for that. You see what that wife is doing for that husband. You see all these things that you start comparing your relationship and measuring them against that. And that is not fair for you or for your partner, because every relationship is so different, and your relationship is your relationship. It's your own world. So stop comparing and saying what works for us, what fulfills us, because the moment you start letting all these ideas filter in, you're never going to be happy. And it's just, you're always going to feel like there's a lack. And that's when people leave a relationship and they get into a new one. They're like, oh, I feel whole again. And they run into that same pattern again and again and again. It goes back to love is a choice, right? It's okay, how can I choose my partner? How will my partner choose me? And how can we choose each other constantly? And so, yeah, that's a big pattern I see, as well as control.
Yeah.
Trying to control the situation or the partner. I want him to do this. I want her to do this way, blah, blah, blah. And that is not showing acceptance of who that person is. That's not giving them freedom. And when you try to control another person for a long time, they start to lose their wings, they start to lose their light, and you don't want to be responsible for that. Or they will feel suffocated and leave, right? So it's releasing that control, releasing that comparison that, will allow you to get closer to your partner, right? Real love takes work, and it means expanding your own limits, right? If you are used to having control, expand your own limits by releasing, figuring out ways how to release that need for control, figuring out why you need to control everything, right? Love is a verb, right? Not a feeling. Real love begins the moment you consciously choose to stay committed despite the challenges. Treat love as like a discipline. He talks in The Road Less Traveled, he talks about that, right? Treat love as discipline. That means investing heavily in both your own and your partner's long-term emotional and spiritual growth. That's it. So always think about what is the best for my partner and I, not just me, not just them. There has to be a balance for us as a team.
Yeah. Because you are a team when you are in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just you and him, you're you. And I know, I just remember now that I went to a speech when I was in Mind Valley. with Reagan, and she talked about, yeah, it's you and him, but you also are the relationship. So that's going to be like a source for itself. So I
Mm-hmm.
just thought that such a, it stick with me because I thought it was such a good way of seeing it as its own, like own vessel or energy or whatever you want to call it. And just both need to pour into that just for
Mm-hmm.
like the visualization. So yeah, I love what you said that also about love is a verb, it's not just a feeling. And yeah, it takes two. Is there anything else, like any other advice and recommendation that you would share with the audience?
I mean, I think two big things is one, always in a relationship, you're never going to be like, oh, I'm perfect. There's always going to be something that you're working towards, and it doesn't mean like it's not working. People think that when you find the right person, it'll just be like, oh, everything's fine. No, it'll be constant challenges, but knowing that it takes commitment. It's that commitment that's what true love is. So don't believe in the fairy tales like everything's rainbows and butterflies all the time. It's not realistic, right? It's not human. And two, make sure to always feed your brain with, especially with social media, with the right content. There's so much stuff out there that makes us want to have that we're not even asking ourselves, what do I want? It's like, what do other people have? Oh, maybe I'd like that. So you lose your own voice. So things like books, and that's why I recommend The Road Less Traveled, How to Be Adult in Relationships. And I have another one here that I want to talk about is The Seven Secrets to Healthy, Happy Relationships. He was the author of Mastery of Love, which is another huge book that, oh my God, I forgot about that one. There's so many books. I could name like 15, but I won't go that far. Just make sure that you are also feeding your mind with things that will support your dating life or your relationship, your own self-growth and self-love. Right now, we have to be very, very careful about what we consume. It makes a
I
difference.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. And I think books are really great because we tend to spend so much time on the screen and following and content and all of that. Instead of just consuming, just sit down and read a book. I will put the link or the name of your book recommendation in the show notes so
Mhm.
you can see and find them and buy them for yourself
Yeah.
and read them. And yeah, I love that advice too, like keep feeding your brain with positive thinking and in yeah, so you can really show up more as the version of you that is in this loving relationship. We have to keep working on ourselves and developing in our growth mindset and staying in it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, and then also last tips before I know I ask you to do a guided visualization and meditation for us because I know that is one of your favorite tool that you use for your clients. And what is your best like dating tips for the single ones out there?
I think, there's so many dating tips that I hate to list like this, and that because again, it's very it constrains people and then they start adding lists. But I think the biggest dating tip for me is always ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want to feel? Because especially when you're out there dating, you don't want your focus to be, I hope they like me. And you're giving and giving and putting your attention on them instead of on you. What do you want for your life? That's it. That's a simple question. And through journaling is like, how do you want to experience love? How do you want to experience life? What feels aligned to you? What fulfills you? So asking all these questions internally will make your dating life better. It's not about, oh, if they do this, make sure all those dating rules where it's about somebody else, you can throw out the window because when you are connected with yourself and you know what you want, you will choose the right partner because you'll know, you won't be confused.
I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that, Mariana. And also for you share a lot of dating tips and advices and stories and on your own or I mean on your Instagram. So also go and follow her on Free Spirit Latina on Instagram if you want to catch up with more of her amazing content. Okay, are you ready to go into to guide us into a visualization?
Yes, I'd love to.
Perfect. So whenever you're ready, you can just start.
Okay. Okay, just take a breath with me. Just loosen your body. Settle into wherever you're sitting. Let your shoulders drop and clench your jaw. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Just here in this moment. Now picture yourself in a place that feels safe. It can be real or imagined. Maybe it's a quiet room, a garden, somewhere by the water. Just bring that place to mind and just notice what's around you in this place. Notice the light, the temperature on your skin, the sounds. Just really immerse yourself in this space. Now imagine that somewhere in this place, your inner voice is waiting for you. And this isn't a stranger. It's a part of you that's been with you your whole life, underneath all the noise. Maybe it looks like you, or maybe it's just a presence, a warmth, maybe just a feeling of being known, of being held, and you slowly walk toward it. And when you're close, you sit down next to it. And you don't have to say anything yet. What does it feel like sitting next to this warmth? You just sit and let your heart connect to it. And if it helps, you can silently ask, what do you need me to know right now? What do you need me to know right now? Just listen. Whatever comes up, let it come up without judging it. There's no wrong answer here. What do you need me to know right now? And just stay with it for a few more breaths. Just let yourself be with you in this special place. No distractions. Just you connecting with you. This voice has been here the whole time, waiting for you to come back to it. You can return to this place anytime you need to. It doesn't go anywhere. And just remember that the voice you just sat with is the one worth listening to first. It's the one to seek when you feel lost, when you feel doubt. It's the one that matters the most. Whenever you're ready, wiggle your fingers, your toes, and open your eyes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for guiding this beautiful meditation, Mariana.
Of course.
Ah, very, yeah, I felt at peace. All right. So I know people, if they want to connect with you, I'm going to share your Instagram handle in the show notes. And like, if they want to work with you, how can people work with you and on a private container? What is you offering?
Yeah, so I offer an 8-week program. So I work with people, we meet weekly and we work on whatever it is that you need to work on. They have access to me through WhatsApp. So if they're dealing with something, my clients know that they can always message me, even if it's outside of the session. And the reason I just do packages, I used to offer just one-off sessions, but you can't really do the work fully with somebody on one session. Can't make a change in one session. So I always advise people to, if you're going to commit to yourself, you got to go all in, and investing in yourself is just one of the best things you can do. So people can, on my Instagram, there's a link in my bio in there, they can see and apply for it. So
amazing. Thank you so much, Mariana, for coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom and your voice and your beautiful energy here.
of course, thank you so much for having me.